Hi, I'm Logan.
And I'm Melissa.
And this is Marketer's Cut, the podcast that you know and love about movie marketing. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, that was a great intro.
Okay, great
intro.
Cool new intro we're trying out. Yeah, we know we're a marketing podcast, but we don't talk about that boring marketing stuff like posters and trailers. You can look at those with your own eyes. But we talk about the deeper ideas that come from our minds.
Well, also from the mindset of the people who actually are on this.
Sure, yeah. Maybe like the minds at Warner Brothers, promoting the Batman. Sure, that's what we talk about.
Yeah, probably.
I kind of just said it, but I wanted to ask you, what movie are we talking about this week, Alyssa?
We're talking about The Batman 2022.
Fuck! That was my prank. I was going to ask you what movie we're talking about, and then I was hoping you'd be like, Batman. And I was going to be like... No,
it's The Batman, and I literally said, I didn't know that was your prank, but then I also said 2022.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how many other... I mean, there are 100 other Batmans, that's the thing. So I was being as specific as I possibly could.
Yeah, no, it works. It works. I just really wanted to be like, no, that's not the movie we're talking about, and I was hoping you'd be like confused.
Yeah, no.
Wow, it was a bad prank, I'll admit that.
Yeah, true.
Okay, let's get into it.
I can't believe that's the prank you were talking about earlier.
I'm a dumbass, I get it. So, The Batman 2022, directed by Matt Reeves, my man, known for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War for the Planet of the Apes. I think I got the prepositions right on those titles. Those movies are amazing. So he's taking on the new Batman, starring... Who's it starring?
Robert Pattinson.
Of what fame?
He was in a movie called Remember Me, I think.
That was the one with the 9/11 swerve at the end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else has been in recently?
Good Time. He is known for Good Time.
Yeah, he's real known for Good Time.
The Lighthouse.
Forgot he was even in that.
Yeah.
The main character.
Yeah.
Wow, I forgot that.
And that's pretty much it, right?
I can only imagine William Dafoe is like a scary black and white man, and that's it in that movie.
Wow.
And Twilight.
Oh, interesting. I forgot about that one. Mm-hmm. Here's a quick synopsis of the movie from IMDb. When the Riddler, a sadistic serial killer, begins murdering key political figures in Gotham, Batman is forced to investigate the city's hidden corruption and question his family's involvement. I have a problem with the synopsis. Do you want to guess what my problem is?
No.
So it says, when the Riddler begins murdering key political figures in Gotham, Batman is forced to investigate. And I'm sorry, but it's the Batman is forced to investigate.
I could have guessed that, actually.
Like, why would the synopsis not say the Batman? Like, what a golden opportunity missed. That's the first marketing change I would make to this.
The change in the IMDb synopsis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This movie came out March 4th, 2022. That was last Friday, if you're listening to this on release, which I know you are because you're a loyal, faithful listener. It's really weird that, like, if you look at a release date for a movie now, it's always the Friday. And, like, this isn't anything new, but it's always the Friday. But, like, we know that shit came out on Thursday.
Yeah, but in lieu of a midnight release, everyone knows it comes out before, but...
Yeah, but why are we lying to ourselves?
Official release date...
But at this point, it's not, is my point, It's not the official release date.
I mean, you're not wrong, but that's just how it goes.
It's just, we have a problem as a society where we don't look in the mirror and tell ourselves the truth. And this is like a key symptom of that, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. What's next?
You don't agree with my...
What's next to talk about?
The box office numbers. So this movie did open to a whopping $134 million.
Wow.
Pretty great opening. The domestic total as of today, Wednesday, March 9th, the day we're recording, was $144 million. The international total was at $124 million, with a worldwide total so far of $269 million. One thing that caught my eye was that the international total is less than domestic so far, which is kind of like abnormal. So I looked into it, and it is not releasing in China until March 18th. So that's a huge market, bigger than the U.S.
Yeah, that's a giant market.
Yeah. So it's not coming out until then. So I'm sure that the international number will jump a ton when it does release then. Rotten Tomato. Oh,
I have a question.
yeah. Ask away.
Well, you might have to cut it out. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Did it open in Russia?
I don't think it did. I believe it was pulled from Russia.
Okay, but most of our releases do come from Russia, or are released.
Yeah,
in
they
Russia,
are released in Russia.
other
as far
than
as I know.
times around this. Okay.
Yeah. Now, the interesting thing, and like we are by no means experts on the situation happening in Russia and the Ukraine, but as far as I know, and again, maybe I'm wrong, but China is not against Russia. China is one of Russia's only allies, kind of in the situation right now.
What are you saying? That the Chinese are going to fly over Russians to watch the Batman, and then going to fly them right on back?
I wasn't saying anything like that at all. I was saying that it is interesting to me that, I mean, I get like the sanctions in Russia and everything, but this movie is still coming out in China and will benefit a lot from China, one of Russia's neighbors that is, not doing anything to speak out or stand out against what's happening in Ukraine now.
Okay.
So an interesting dynamic there. But moving on, because there's no good way to segue from that topic, Rotten Tomatoes. What do you think this movie got?
I haven't even thought about it. Well,
Higher, audience, or critic? What do you think?
it's so hard because I think that the Batman fans are going to be very hard on this. And I enjoyed it, you enjoyed it, but I don't know how a critic would feel about it. I'm just like so lost on how a critic would feel about it. I don't know. I would think they're very close.
They are. It's got an 86% critic score, 89% audience score. The critic score tracks for me. It's a very specific kind of movie, and I can see somebody just not vibing with it at all. Mm-hmm. I'm shocked that the audience score is actually 89. I would have expected a bit higher, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, I would have expected a bit higher, just because like it does feel so. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but then thinking about it a little bit more. It's not the Snyder Batman, has nothing to do with the Snyderverse. And maybe it gets a little bit of online hate / review bombing from that crowd.
Yeah, it's like with Star Wars. It's like with all big franchises. Someone's going to be upset about it, and like a fan base is going to be upset, and the diehards. And I think that, yeah, you're going to have your diehard Batman fans who be like, this isn't like the 1610 Batman that I saw back in theaters. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, everyone's favorite Batman that released on the stage, the live theater stage back in 1610.
That's what I was saying. Is like they're gonna be pissed that it's not like that one.
Yeah, I guess I'm looking at it from the last big superhero movie we did was Spider-Man: No Way Home, and that had like a 98% audience score, 99%. But thinking about it, you're right. Like that's an edge case. Like that is a not common scenario with superhero fandom. The cinema score though was an A-, so that's pretty good. It's
yeah,
not
that's
perfect,
great.
But did a good job of like being honest about what it was, getting people to the theater, and then satisfying that promise. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. Now for a little history lesson. Do you want to do me a little history jingle?
No.
You don't?
You think I would do a history
jingle, yeah.
You're the one who said you had sounds up on your keyboard.
I didn't pull out my keyboard. I didn't get it set up, so I'm not going to do the keyboard sounds. But
great.
Should I do a history jingle?
If you can think of one.
What was Batman like in the past? That's a good history jingle, right?
I guess.
Perfectly on key, I believe. Moving on. So I forgot about all this because this movie's gone through a lot in terms of its release and its development and everything. It's gone through a ton. I didn't even put all the details in here. I'm going to lightly touch on some of them and, in unspecific terms and everything. Mm-hmm. But I read this and this kind of came back to me because I remember this was happening. So after Batman versus Superman, there was going to be a standalone Batman film with the Ben Affleck version of Batman,
Okay.
directed by Ben Affleck, which was interesting. Yeah. It was announced though in 2017 that he was going to be stepping down as a director. It's kind of unclear why and everything. And then a lot more stuff happened with Affleck. He ended up going to rehab for alcohol abuse at some point and everything. And then later, like after that, eventually dropped off the film entirely. And kind of spoke out about it. And, he says a lot of it is probably, it's, due to the alcohol issues, but also like he doesn't want to go through what happened on the Justice League stuff again. And, that was where Snyder dropped off of that movie mid-production. And Joss Whedon came on. And from all accounts, Joss Whedon was hell to work with. Which is kind of like where it was the original impetus for like, hey, release a Snyder Cut, because nobody seemed to like the Joss Whedon stuff. There's a lot more we can go into detail with that, but we won't. So eventually, though, Affleck completely dropped off of this project. They started looking for other directors and quickly kind of zeroed in on Matt Reeves. This was when he was working on War for the Planet of the Apes. They wanted him to do it. An exec at Warner Brothers wanted like an auteur. That's how you say that. Embarrassing to get that word wrong on our podcast, our audio medium piece. But I wanted an auteur to direct this movie, which
you don't have to say it 4 times.
I want to say it a 5th time. Auteur.
Okay.
To let people know that I know.
Okay. All
I
right.
didn't just get it right on accident. I know.
Okay.
Yeah. So they were flexible with Reeves. There was even some like salary disagreement, but it seems like they wanted him enough to get past that. So they brought him on, and quickly, kind of everything about this changed. It was going to be part of like that Warner Brothers extended universe, but Reeves wanted total creative control, and Warner Brothers sort of just said, "Yeah, go for it." So he did this very standalone thing, cast the new Batman, which is like the quickest we've gotten a new Batman that I know of. I know like we had like George Clooney and someone else in the 90s, right?
I don't know anything about Batman
I
other
haven't
than
seen the 90s ones in forever.
I haven't seen them at all.
But it was a very quick like recasting of Batman. It's like, oh dang, we're already getting a new iteration on this character. So that's already like a bit of a weird thing, because it's like, what is DC doing? And at first it's like they don't know what they're doing. But now I kind of want to talk about what they are doing in comparison to Marvel. Because like Suicide Squad just came out, which was kind of like a soft reboot of a failed Suicide Squad movie that was kind of tying into like the rest of this DC universe stuff. Suicide Squad got a Peacemaker show that is in the Suicide Squad universe, but still kind of distinct from like Justice League and Wonder Woman and stuff like that. Birds of Prey came out and is also very distinct from like Suicide Squad, which Harley Quinn was in. Like Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn was in. And I feel like there was another one recently. I know I'm forgetting it, but Joker was another one which made over $1 billion, and forgot about anything that had happened in DC around that time. It was Joaquin Phoenix playing Joker, had nothing to do with the other big films. And then you see what Marvel's doing, and like every single one of their movies ties in to another one in a pretty like intricate way, or like pretty direct way. And I think it's interesting how DC has sort of found it's like a place that it can successfully work in, both financially and artistically, I think, where like they just don't care about a overall extended universe. They're almost treating these DC heroes as like mythology may not be the right term, but like kind of, who cares if you just saw a version of Batman? We're going to do another one, and you're probably going to like it, and you're probably going to go see it. And if they want to do like these mini extended universes, like what they did with Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. They can, and they're doing that with the Batman too, because 2 sequels for the movie have already been greenlit.
Wow.
So we will have a Pattinson Batman trilogy, and then also there are going to be 2 shows as of right now for HBO Max. A show focusing on Colin Farrell's The Penguin, and another show that was going to be focused on the Gotham City Police Department, but it kind of has pivoted away from that. And it now seems like it is going to be a horror style, like Arkham Asylum show.
Interesting.
But in this version of Gotham, Arkham, Pattinson, Batman, and everything. So I think that's really interesting because, like, I enjoy the connected universe stuff. Like, I enjoy seeing it all, like, come together and seeing, like, some characters get, maybe a TV show that kind of, like, dives into it and everything. It's fun for me. I like it with Marvel, but I think it's cool how DC is not really letting themselves feel constrained by it. Like, if they just want to start another connected universe, they can. And it just works for them, it seems like. So I think that's really interesting, and I'm curious to see, like, what the future of DC looks like, because, they already have, like, new Aquaman movies and Flash movies, which are gonna, like, tie into Justice League. But, like, what are the new Batman ones that doesn't tie into that, and, like, are they going to do another, like, Superman that doesn't tie into that or something, Like,
yeah.
So, I just ranted a lot for that, a while for that, but I think it's really interesting, and it is a success story, I guess, in how, like, when DC first did Batman versus Superman and Superman Man of Steel and stuff like that, I was like, oh, they're rushing this expanded universe thing. They're trying to be Marvel, and they can't do it. And instead of, like, continuing to try that, they just said, hey, fuck it, we'll do our own thing. And it's working for them.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's definitely working for them. And they don't... What Marvel's doing is cool, but it also does kind of feel like Marvel is restrained in some ways. And it's nice that DC doesn't have to be, necessarily.
Yeah, like, every choice in Marvel, you even get fans saying, like, oh, well, how does this affect this thing? And everything else has to affect this, And, like, like Eternals... they needed to shoehorn in an explanation to why, like, they didn't stop Thanos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, if DC was kind of doing the same thing, they just would have ignored the whole, like, Infinity War Thanos thing and just kind of, like, told this other story they wanted to tell. It doesn't matter. It doesn't actually matter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting. Okay, I want you to tell me about something, though. Ready?
Okay.
Explain it in as vivid detail as you can. Explain what it is, what it looks like, where it's from, how it tastes. Talk to me about the calzone.
Okay. It is from Little Caesars. It is shaped like a bat.
Arguably shaped like a bat.
Arguably shaped like a bat. There's, like, 2 pieces that are kind of cut, and they are like calzones. And then there's pizza. Oh, the rest of it's pizza. A little bit of calzone, a lot of it's pizza. Pizza is the same as Little Caesars pizza, other than they're, little squares, not a lot of extra crust, fine. But then you have the calzone part. And the cheese is wetter. I don't want you to laugh at me. It is. It's a wetter cheese, and I don't know how or why they did that, but it's pretty good, honestly. They have small cubes of pepperoni in that instead of slices of pepperoni on the rest of the pizza. And it was surprisingly not bad. I enjoyed it, and if they started doing calzone separately because of the calzone, I'd try it. I'd eat it.
Wow. So rate it on a 1 to 10, please. Please rate the calzone.
1 to 10. See that now? That's tough. Still Little Caesars pizza guy, my bud. I give it a 6.5.
6.5? Okay, now rate it on a 1 to 10, but, like, out of Little Caesars pizzas. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, well, see, that's completely different.
Yeah.
If this is just Little Caesars pizza, I'd give it probably like an 8 or an 8.5.
Okay, interesting. Well, that's that. There it is for you, folks. The calzone.
We had it.
We had it.
You didn't say that at the beginning.
We did have it. We did eat the calzone.
We did eat it as soon as they were like, we have this. We were like, yeah, we'll buy it right now.
I do have a picture of it on my phone, and I'm pretty sure I'm on an FBI list because of that. So, we'll see how that pans out. More updates to come. Did you see this Batman font tool thing?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so they released this website where you could just type in anything, and then it would display it in like the Batman logo font.
Okay.
So I did it for Marketer's Cut for the podcast that we're speaking on right now, and I'm going to show it to you. And
I do think I actually did see you do that, but I didn't understand why or how.
Okay.
I don't feel like that's a Batman font.
It's like the logo for the movie, though.
Maybe the logo for the movie, but it's not a Batman font.
Yeah. Speaking of, I pulled up our Twitter.
And number one, it's not a font; it's a typeface.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I pulled up our Twitter and I found another thing that I retweeted right before I made our Batman typeface Marketer's Cut image. And it's a poster released for the Batman, but in Lego style. And like it's so funny because like this poster could have been a poster for the Lego Batman movie.
Yeah,
You know
you're
what I'm
right.
saying?
Or for just the Batman movie.
True.
And then they're like, oops, sorry. And then they switch it up.
So let me throw this. I need to say this publicly. I said this to Alyssa after we saw the movie, and she's like, I think she thought I was insane. So if the Lego Batman movie is like a comedic parody take on the Nolan trilogy, then The Batman, the Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson, The Batman, is a serious take on the Lego Batman movie.
Okay, and that's all you need to say.
That's all I need to say. It's true, and it's out there now.
Another thing I'd like to say, we're just watching this movie, just having a good time, and it looks like there's another Pets movie that's going to happen in the trailer, so we're like...
Yeah, it's called Super Pets?
I'm in the middle of telling it.
Okay.
You just spoiled it. I was going to get there.
Oh, I didn't know if you knew the title yet.
Yeah, look, it's Super Pets.
Did you see the poster?
I don't think I did see the poster, but I definitely saw the trailer for it, and let me tell you what, I was not expecting it to take that turn, and I was like, can they just put Batman in here? Is that allowed? And they did. The whole thing is just DC dogs and animals.
No, you're right, but it's very funny because the first poster for it has the title of the movie. Approximately, I would say maybe, I don't know, 20%, 10% the size of Dwayne Johnson's name. And we shared this on our Twitter as well, so follow us at Marketer's
Yeah,
Cut.
that's very true. Poster. It is very small.
Yeah, the tagline for the movie also, the poster shows a dog of Superman dog, super dog. And the tagline is, he goes by Bark Kent. And like, I'm sold. Opening night, I'm there. That's good. Okay, moving on. This film utilized a URL, and that's like 101 marketing is to utilize the URL in your film, Like, that's so fun. It's never going to fail. It's always great. So, like, in the movie, it plays a role. It's like a clue. And they also released this URL before the film in a tweet. So, this tweet they posted in January says, Zoe Kravitz as Selena Kyle, a.k.a. Catwoman, in The Batman. Like this tweet if you plan on heading to theaters opening weekend. So that tweet has a bunch of random letters capitalized, and if you put them together, it spells out Rata Alata. So if you go to that website, you got a little riddle, and if you answered the riddle right, you got a cryptic image that no one knew what it meant, but it was fun, and it got people going.
Interesting.
And that's really all marketing needs to do is get people going.
That's very true.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool. Last thing I want to talk about before we jump into our own marketing ideas is how there was a fan premiere on March 1st, which I thought was really cool. Because, they do early showings for films all the time, but the way that DC and Warner Brothers framed it was we're letting fans see the movie first, not critics, Like, forget a premiere where critics see it, even though I do think critics saw it first, but it's like, we're letting fans get in there and see it. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing that I think DC does really well, for better and for worse, is it makes fans feel super important. You saw that with them caving to the Snyder Cut release and stuff like that,
Yeah.
But also you see it with this, where they're like, hey, you're a fan of this comic book character, come see the movie that we made for you first, you know? And I think it's just an interesting message to promote. So yeah, that's the cool Batman marketing stuff. We're gonna talk about our own marketing ideas now. Do you have any?
Yeah, you just get the Batman light, you know?
Uh-huh.
You shoot into the sky somewhere. Or maybe a lot of places.
Okay.
But when you turn it on, you also have like a cage of bats and you let them out. You release the bats. And then so when everyone sees the light, they also see a bunch of bats. Now that'd be really cool. And you'd be like, whoa, right? I just thought of that right now.
I don't know what to say. Here's one I have that I'm coming up with on the top of my head. All right, so It's like the Batman Twitter account. You know, I want it to go wild. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Go wild. Like, try to just go for it. And I wanted it to tweet something like, everyone's talking about the Batman when they should be busy batting their man. You know?
That doesn't make any sense.
And I guess it does sort of like support domestic abuse.
Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah. I just don't know what would you be accomplishing there?
It gets the people going.
No, I don't think anyone would be going over that, bud.
Okay. Do you have another one, or do you want me to jump into another one I have?
Do you already have another one?
It's like a little activity for us to do.
Okay, but you actually have it in your head, and it's not as bad as the last one?
Well, half and half. You'll see. Okay. So listen. Competition. Everyone loves a good competition. Okay, so you do this well before the movie comes out. Everyone knows the Riddler is going to be in it. So you put out a call online for people to send in their best riddles. All right? Mm-hmm. And then the lucky winner, I don't know if the winner is going to be like voted on by people, or if it's going to be selected by execs, or if it's going to be like a random selection. But however the winner wins.
Definitely not random.
Oh, random could be fun though.
Yeah, but also it could be a really bad riddle. They'd be like, "This is the one that won."
Yeah, but that's what. And then, hey, listen, it gets the people going. You know what I'm saying?
I'd be pissed. I'd be pissed.
But I want the winning riddle to be written into the script for the Riddler to use. You know?
Yeah, but if you think about how bad of an idea that is, you really have to be planning a real far time ahead, and then. Mm-hmm. I just feel like you're not really getting the hype there, bud. You're not getting it before the movie.
I don't know, because, like, if you get a really good riddle in there, people can get excited. But also, if you get a really bad riddle in there, like, that's also exciting. I would go see the Batman for the Riddler to drop, like, the biggest dumper of a riddle. Is that a good phrase?
No, not at all.
So the little activity I have for us is, like, you know, hypothetically, they do this riddle. I want us to submit a riddle ourselves.
I'm not good at riddles.
That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it, okay? So, here's my riddle. Ready? Uh-huh. What is... Okay, wait.
But you've had time to think of your riddle.
Well, it's very hard to think of a riddle, so I thought I'd kind of just, like off the top of my head.
Okay.
Know? Okay. It sounds like bells, and it sounds like beauty, but it won't be heard unless you like his booty.
Okay.
What is it?
I have no idea.
My jingle from earlier. My Batman history jingle. Your turn. Your turn.
I have one, but number one, it's a little angsty.
No, saying angst is good.
I know angst is good, but it's also very niche.
That's fine.
It's okay.
That's fine.
I just thought of it. I don't know why though, and it's not good. Okay, I'm just gonna say it.
Please.
Okay, it's shiny and crazy and friendly.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, shiny and crazy and friendly. Is it ooh, hold up. Is it a companion robot?
No.
Is it a Roomba?
No.
What is Roomba, Alex?
No. Are you ready? It's a diamond, because Shine On You Crazy Diamond by Pink Floyd.
Huh, really niche.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
see, do you see what I'm saying?
Pink Floyd's not very niche, but in the riddle industry, I would say Pink Floyd's pretty niche.
That's what I'm saying. But also, definitely has that angst. Definitely gives you that, like, Nirvana one song they play in the Batman.
Okay, this movie is missing one thing. It has a Nirvana song. Great. That is Robert Pattinson's theme song of this movie, you know?
Yeah.
Something in the way. Great. The Riddler does not get his own theme song. Okay? And we know Robert Pattinson listens to grunge. We know. He's so into Nirvana. He's so into Pearl Jam. He has followed Dave Grohl's whole career.
I just don't think that's true.
Every time the Foo Fighters play Gotham, like, Bruce Wayne's front row. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you just said Robert Pattinson. Are you talking about the actor?
Oh, I mean the movie. I mean the character.
Okay.
Probably the actor too, but like every time the Foo Fighters play Gotham, Bruce Wayne's front row. We know that. But what band is the Riddler front row for every time?
Oh, shoot.
Like, what is the Riddler's band? And then once we figure out the band, we got to get a song for him.
It's a Bare Naked Ladies.
Why the Bare Naked Ladies?
Because it's been 1 week since you looked at me. I just feel like...
So you think that's the Riddler song?
I feel like there's so many words in it, and, like, he just really likes it. There's, like, 3 days, 4 days, there's, like, a bunch of numbers in it, there's a bunch of words, and it's, like, upbeat. It, like, really gets him pumped. And it's also, like, unhinged for him to listen to it.
I can't disagree with that.
Okay, great.
You don't think he's, like, maybe surprisingly into, like, some really popular, like, modern pop, you know?
Like what?
Like Dua Lipa?
No, for sure not.
Okay, so it's Bare Naked Ladies. All right. I'm glad that the Riddler is into Bare Naked Ladies.
Now, I have one more idea. Do you have any more ideas?
No, go for it.
I mean, my idea is not great. It's just I was wondering if you had any more.
I don't.
Okay, so I was thinking about it earlier, and on my Twitter, which I tell you is also very niche, and it's my, like, 4 interests that I am involved in on Twitter, I guess. I don't know. They talk about how Twilight fans were showing up for the Batman.
Of course.
Because of Robert Pattinson solely, which is, like, great that that's kind of what's happening. That cult following is going. Mm-hmm. But, and then we got that grungy Nirvana song. So grungy. But listen, you know what else was grungy? That Twilight soundtrack. The Twilight soundtrack had Paramore decoded on it. Like, I think, you know how Spotify has, like, the list and it, like, pairs you up and it's like, oh, this would be great.
You think it should be a Twilight Batman, like combined playlist?
Yes.
That's beautiful.
I know.
That's beautiful.
They're both angsty. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like it would make sense. And you'd obviously have, like, Creed on there and, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. Listen, I saw this picture on Twitter. It was a marquee of, like, it looked like a small, like, independent theater or something. Mm-hmm. Which, a lot of these do show the big blockbuster movies to kind of keep the lights on. Mm-hmm. But it was showing the Batman. But on the marquee outside, it said something like, and this may not be word for word, but it was like, the worst vampire ever took this long to become a bat. I thought that was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
So, that's also pretty good. Also, one thing we should have talked about earlier, so before we finish up, I want to bring this up too.
Okay.
Is that I've seen some discussion about this as well, mainly on Twitter, but Robert Pattinson did Twilight, made a fuck ton of money from it, and has been in a lot of, like, smaller indie films since then. You kind of saw this with Daniel Radcliffe as well, with Harry Potter. He's also been in a lot of, like, weird, smaller things, which is great. Like, I love that they just want to act in these small things, but it seems like Pattinson is now jumping into these big blockbusters. Like, he did the Batman, and he's doing another big one soon, and I can't remember what it is. But it's like he's utilizing... Actually, I think he's in talks to be in Dune.
Interesting.
Possibly. Or it's rumored that he might be cast as, like, the Emperor in Dune 2. So there's some people kind of, like, theorizing, like, yeah, he's going to be in these big blockbuster movies, but all it does is give him more freedom to go back and, like, do even more, like, small movies. And, like, now that he's an even bigger star than he was then, arguably, like, doing, expanding his fan base, he's going to be bringing more people to these smaller movies as well. So that's, like, a really interesting thing.
That is very true.
Yep.
Wait, do you think Dune's going to be a small movie? Is that what you just said?
No. Dune is one of the big movies that then he'll go work with, like, a smaller director.
Okay.
You got the Dune fans and the Batman fans and the Twilight fans saying, oh, well, he's in this new movie. I need to check this one out.
Okay, great.
So it kind of gives these smaller movies a bit more commercial viability, which is interesting. You ready to wrap this one up?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for listening to our movie marketing podcast about the Batman. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at Marketers Cut. Find the podcast anywhere you can find podcasts or on YouTube, and learn more at marketerscut.com. And I also want to thank Jacob Wall for his artwork. Find more of his work on Instagram at Kufnar. That's Kuufnar. Next week, we will most likely be talking about the new Pixar film Turning Red. So keep an eye out for that one. And yeah, thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks. Roll the creds. Hey.
Something
No.
in the way.
No. You ruined it.
What are you going to say?
It's already going too long into the song.
Something in the way.
I was going to say that Richard Kind should have been the penguin.
That what?
Richard Kind should have been the penguin?
Not a wrong point.